Welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from the undisclosed location, driven and powered every day by Ghost Chevrolet. Remember, online, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Tons to get to over the next 2 hours. Hunt Palmer will stop by here in 30 minutes. He'll be inside the UDL. We'll break down Hoover, Alabama, and what's happening over at the Metropolitan Stadium this morning as the SEC tournament gets underway. Tigers going to play this afternoon as they'll take on Georgia. Landon Marceau gets the nod and the start there coming up on this Tuesday, what is expected to be around a 4:30 first pitch for LSU. Big Ben McDonald is heading down to Hoover right now, or he is in Hoover. He's headed to the stadium to call the SEC tournament on the SEC network. He is also labeled the best LSU baseball player in the history of the program. Talk about compliments, man, when you talk about what LSU baseball means to the overall sport. If you saw it last night, the documentary on the SEC network, Hold the Rope, with Skip Bertman as the centerpiece of that. It was must-watch television for anybody in our part of the country or has any type of passion for LSU baseball. It was a walk down memory lane for somebody like me who grew up at Alec Box Stadium watching all of the figures and characters and All-Americans that came through Bertman's program, all the while attending his baseball camp that expanded into one of the must-visits and must-dos of the summer. It was fantastic programming, and we are privileged enough to start this morning's show with Ben McDonald, who is, as we said, en route right now to the Hoover Met to call today's action of the SEC tournament. Lots to talk about with Big Ben, obviously, after last night. So let's welcome him into the conversation. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing good. I thought last night was incredible television for anybody who loves LSU. Skip Bertman, obviously the centerpiece, and honored for what he accomplished in such a illustrious career. You obviously had a huge piece of last night. What was your takeaway from Hold the Rope?
Well, just wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's hard to explain, to see it all come together, to remember it like that. And even a lot of the memories, of course, in different eras of guys, that how Coach Bertman affected so many different lives and so many different players and coaches in college baseball. And look, I've said this a million times before. He literally changed the landscape of college baseball. He changed it to what it is today. And you can see his mark all across college baseball today. But what a wonderful night to celebrate Coach's birthday, 83rd birthday. What a wonderful night to celebrate arguably the greatest coach that's ever done it in college baseball, and what he built and how he built it. I thought the producer did a wonderful job of grabbing it from the ground floor and seeing how and showing how it was built from the ground up. It just didn't happen overnight. Although it seemed like, when you look back on it, it seemed like he got it going really quick, and he really did. But there was a lot that went into it, to building it from the ground floor up, and to see it where it is today and where it came from back when there were more pigeons in the stands than there were people, it's just an amazing deal when you talk about it, and I thought the producer did a wonderful job.
We have asked you stories about John Brady recruiting you while he was an assistant at Mississippi State to play basketball. We've asked you about Dale Brown and some of the in-home visits that you experienced there. What was it about your conversations with Skip Bertman back then when you were sought after by everybody in the country that made him win out?
Well, I was kind of sitting on the fence. Mississippi State, as you know, had the baseball program in the country at the time, and it was Will Clark and Palomero and Big Ten and Brantley, not just four big leaguers, but four big league all-stars, two of which could very well be in the Hall of Fame one day in baseball. And, I was considering Mississippi State, and this Bertman guy came to LSU, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know who this guy is, but maybe, because LSU's baseball program wasn't very good, when I was in junior high and early in high school. And all of a sudden he goes to the College World Series in 86. And I go, okay, well, this Bertman guy might be okay. He may end up being a decent coach, and so, I was always going to kind of go towards LSU, but that was kind of the final straw, because I knew Dale Brown's basketball team was outstanding at the time, been to some Final Fours. And so that was kind of the last straw. I knew Coach Bertman, but, I was so fortunate to get to play for Skip Bertman and Dale Brown. Can you imagine the talks and the motivations? I wish I remember 15% of what was told at the time, but I still take a lot of it with me today. But, some of the greatest things is, like what Skip said and what he always preached, what you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, enthusiastically act upon, will come to pass. And it did. It came to pass.
Do you still have your yellow book?
I do not know where. I know I kept the yellow book. When you know how it is, when you get married and you move and you move houses, stuff gets lost along the way. Right. Things get lost, things get thrown away. But I remember even looking at the yellow book back in pro ball, when even I was in pro ball, I remember having the yellow book then, and so, it's just really cool. It's a cool time, and we bring it all together as we begin day one here in Hoover, Alabama. Where we couldn't come last year, obviously, and to be back in Hoover and gonna have a big fan base here, and to see, and I always tell people that Hoover, Alabama, to me, is more exciting than the College World Series. I don't care what anybody says, because you're going to draw more talent to Hoover, Alabama than what you'll see at the College World Series, because some of these teams are going to get upset in regionals and super regionals and may not make it to the College World Series, but they're all here in Hoover. And you're talking about a conference that, for a lot of the year had a top 5 spots in the national rankings, 1 through 5. And if they didn't have to play each other all year long, they'd probably be 1 through 5 right now, or 1 through 6. So this is arguably the greatest talent that you'll see anywhere in one spot, and it's going to be right here in Hoover, Alabama this week.
Real quick, off track from last night, do you feel like Maneri's working some of that magic that we've seen him consistently do over his run at LSU, and has LSU in a good spot heading into today?
I think so. Look, to say it any other way would not be telling the truth. But LSU's obviously had a disappointing year. It's been a very disappointing year from where the expectations were. Top 10 preseason coming in, a lot of expectations. So it's not been the year they wanted. Having said that, they had to win the final 3 SEC series of the year, and they did that. And Paul Maneri has rallied his bunches over the years. He's rallied his team down the stretch at SEC play. He did it again this year. He seemed to always rally this bunch in the SEC tournament when it matters the most. And it matters the most right now for LSU, because LSU is definitely a bubble team. Some people have them in, some people have them out. Some people say if they win this game today, they're definitely in. Some people say if they lose this game today, they are going home, and what a disappointment that would be for LSU baseball not to make it to the NCAA tournament. So this is a huge game. I love the fact that Marceau's on the mound. I don't know if it was just a setup. He threw 60 pitches his last time out. He came out with some fatigue. I think, personally, I think that was the plan the whole time was, we're going to win 2 out of 3 this weekend anyway. We're going to go ahead and put Marceau and get him ready and line him up for game 1 of this series. That's how important it is for LSU, And so I love Marceau. I think LSU's primed. I think they're playing some of their best baseball they have all year. So I look for them to win today and hopefully win a couple more games in this thing and get a solid seed in the NCAA tournament. And look, once you get there, guys, anything can happen, because I love the way Mikhail Hilliard's throwing the ball right now. He's been a huge boost for LSU, and without him, I don't know where they would be. And he came out of nowhere to do it. You remember the freshman year, he was an All-American, freshman All-American, and then it went sideways after that. He just kind of fell under the radar, the doghouse, whatever you want to call it. But he has emerged as a real ace for LSU.
Big Ben McDonald, a Golden Spikes Award winner at LSU, number 1 overall pick to the Baltimore Orioles. And as Skip Bertman said last night on the Hold the Rope documentary, the best LSU baseball player in the history of the program. I saw that you flew over to Hoover, Alabama with Todd Walker. You two guys are probably the first 2 faces on the Mount Rushmore of LSU baseball. Not that it's nostalgic or historic every time you guys get together, but what are some of the conversations that you two guys share that you can share with the public when you guys get together and just talk about LSU baseball, and not necessarily what you guys meant to it, but just the part that you guys played to the monster that it is today?
Well, as you're going through it as a 20-year-old kid, you don't understand what you're going through, And look, nobody thought. We knew when Coach Bertman came along, the program would be successful. Now, the question is, how successful would it be? But I don't think anybody could imagine 5 national titles in a 10-year span. Nobody, And so as you're going through it, you're not thinking about all those things. You're buying into what Coach Bertman was preaching. You're buying into a system. You're buying into what he believed. And we all bought in, And, we had some success in my runs there. We never won a national title. We I think, finished 3rd, 4th, whatever, went 2 out of 3 years. But then Todd Walker and them came along and took it to a whole different level. But, we have conversations about the time. More of it's about stories and getting to visit. And that's a cool thing about, coming up on some of these, I guess, get-togethers you have is you get to see guys you hadn't seen. And I mean, Kurt Liscanic showed up the other day, guys, and I hadn't seen Kurt Liscanic since I think in 1989 when we went to the College World Series. That was the last time I saw him. So get to catch up with some of these guys and the memories. And the cool thing is we had so much pride in our program because at the time, it's been well documented. We were the grounds crew, and we cleaned the bathrooms, and we painted the stadiums, and we took the blowers, and we blew. We went to Skip's house. We did work in his flower bed and stuff. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. For the program. We cut the grass in Skip's house. And we cut the grass on the field, and we did whatever we could. Whatever he told us to do, we did. And so it was so much pride in a program that we had and to build it up. And we don't talk about, the successes so much we had other than really the stories and where the program came from and what our teammates meant to us and what Coach Bertman, how he has affected all of our lives in so many different ways.
Then you obviously had a multitude of coaches throughout your playing career. What separated Skip from the rest? Like, how did he do it?
Skip had a way, and it's a talent for a coach. He had a way of being able to figure out guys. In today's game, it's almost like that. You have to, everybody's different. Because in my time and in Skip's time back at LSU, most coaches ruled with an iron fist. And it was going to be, by gosh, it was going to be this way or it wasn't going to be no way at all. But Skip had a way, well before his time in so many different ways, that he could find ways to motivate guys in different ways. And some guys he knew he could push buttons on. He knew he could ride hard and get them to perform. Some guys he could back off of, and he got the best out of them. He just knew his players better than anybody else. He had a way of telling you, and building you up, but also at the same time, he would find a way to tear you down at times, but in a meaningful way to build you up later on. And I saw that so many times with a lot of our guys where he just crushed you early in the year, but he did that because he knew that he had to count on you in a big situation later on, and he would build you back up for that situation and make you believe that you could and you would, in those situations. And man, it's when you look back on it now, you're even more amazed about it than you are. Because again, when you're 21 years old, you're just going through it. You're just going through it, trying to survive, and you're trying to build a program. You're trying to win every damn game you play. But now when you look over, you sit back on, you go, how in the heck did he accomplish the things that he did?
I always thought Ronnie Rance did the best impersonation of Skip. Paul Bird might be the one seed. I never knew.
Look, well, you'd probably never get him to do it, but Mike Bianco might be the best.
Well, he just got that natural to him.
Right. I mean, Mike even got it down to where he walks like him, points like him, talks like him, and it's like, but that's what kind of effect this guy has on you. It's like it's everything you do and the stories he told, we tell to our kids, and those stories will be told to their kids.
I appreciate the time. I know today is a busy day. Have a great call. Enjoy what will be a great week of competition. Like you said, I mean, that pretty much is the CWS with the rankings this season. I mean, you've got the best teams in the country right there at the Hoover Met, and you'll be on the call. Have a great call. Thanks for sharing some time with us this morning, Ben.
I appreciate it, guys. Take care of yourself.
You got it, man.
Sure.
There was Big Ben McDonald checking in this morning from Hoover, Alabama, as he reminisces on last night's Hold the Rope. Those guys had a special screening, I believe, earlier this week or maybe over the weekend, maybe on Sunday night. I think the guys like Ben McDonald and the close guys to the story had a private screening of Hold the Rope, so I think they had a chance to see it before the public. But what a walk down memory lane for the older LSU baseball fan and for the younger LSU baseball fan that may not have been able to experience that time period for the Tigers. You get a real understanding of the foundation of why LSU baseball is what it is today. I mean, even for somebody like me who grew up at Alec Box Stadium during those times. I mean, I remember being there in 1986, 87, 88 through the 1990 regionals, 91 national championship. My grandfather and I, first time I ever flew on a plane was in 1993. We flew to Omaha and watched LSU on that run. I was at that Long Beach State game where they were down 5-3 in the ninth inning, and I remember my grandfather walking out. I had no idea what we had just really witnessed as far as just the historic representation of it, but him saying that they will talk about this game forever because that put LSU in the national championship game. And just like they were saying last night, we stayed at the team hotel with LSU in 1993, and there's a picture that my grandfather took of Todd Walker and I playing pinball in the lobby.
You gotta get that photo
after that game, and I'll never forget the feeling in that hotel was that it was over. LSU was going to the national championship, but really they had won the game that was going to be their toughest opponent. And like Skip said last night, if he got to the national championship, he's winning it. And his records and his performances there, and looking back and thinking back on that time and seeing that those images and videos last night, I mean, it brought me back to his place where, I mean, I was moved emotionally. I mean, I was watching that and I laughed, I cried. I mean, I was brought back to the pictures and the images of the old box, and could remember where you were watching certain plays of, guys and names that you forget about, like Rich Cordani and Johnny Telechia and Chris Mook and Tookie Johnson. Absolutely. I mean, Scott Bethea. I mean, just guys that were a part of, the bricklaying process of what LSU baseball is today. And I thought it was an incredible documentary. I think you could have done another hour.
I wanted to watch it again. Like, after I finished it, I was like, I might want to watch this again. I didn't, but I wanted to.
No, I want to watch it again. I look forward to watching it again. I thought the days in Miami, the early days in Miami, where he's a 15-year-old coaching 12-year-old kids, and by the next thing you know, I mean, he's a high school state champion coach that, is playing with a bunch of, guys that aren't necessarily that good, but he's out scheming everybody. He's got like these plays and these quirky.
Well, the hideaway trick, the ball trick,
which
just doesn't even work anymore because everybody is seeing that video. It's like, look, don't be doing that. But that was unreal to come up with that and do it in that moment. He's like, and it's like ultimate Skip to be like, dude, the signal just put my finger in my ear because I didn't think we were gonna do it. I didn't know.
I know.
He was electric on
camera.
I
love how he puts his finger in his ear, man. And ardently when he was talking about that. I thought that the stuff on Joey Belle was phenomenal. I didn't know the entire story. Like, I feel
like we still don't.
I know Pete Bush. I know guys like Wally McMakin, guys that have real close relationships with Skip, and they still to this day say that's one of the subjects that still keeps him, not necessarily keeps him up, but that he'll never be able to overcome. He'll never be able to get over that he wasn't able to break through.
I don't think anybody could have.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if they could have either. And looking back on it, this was a time where mental illness was not openly talked about or discussed, or really in a locker room. It was hidden. I mean, it was oppressed. I mean, really. I mean, when you talk about being it's
the ultimate rub some dirt on it era.
Absolutely. But just seeing Belle in an LSU uniform, how sick were the unis back then?
Bro, not only the uniforms, but the swagger that team had. They were pimping everything, and I'm sure Skip was probably
for sure
doing
a young Skip.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, ripping heaters in the dugout. Like, yeah, go on, boys.
Beautiful, man.
But I didn't like. That's some of the things that I didn't realize, and I wanted to ask Ben McDonald about the Joey Belle scenario, because if you're on that team and he's probably the best player on your team.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just like, what do we do with it? Like, Joey Belle was an enigma. Like, how do you handle him? And Skip, who probably prides himself on being able to push the right buttons at the right time and not being able to break through to him, I would say that's not Skip's fault. Like, yeah, if you've done it right multiple times, like, that was just a one-off and a tough case to break through. And like you said, with mental illness, it might have been that.
Yeah.
Before it was even talked about.
How about that jerk off at Mississippi State with the 2x4? The fact that they didn't throw that guy out of the park.
And he's just hanging out.
He's just hanging out back there. I mean, shows you how much the times have changed. But I mean,
Joey Belle tried to hit him with that baseball.
That guy needs to send a Christmas card to Pete Bush every year, because if Pete Bush allows him to go up into that area, that guy might be dead.
Do you realize that Pete Bush was playing first base and had to run into the outfield, and everybody's just kind of standing around like, what are we doing?
I mean,
what's happening? And like,
Bush may be the interview on just take me back.
Could you imagine trying to hold back
No.
a 19-year-old Joey Belle?
I couldn't.
And to know, like, that's probably that they must have been boys because like I got to go get him. Like this is about to be bad.
Absolutely. And like the way that he talked about how he addressed him last night, where he was like, Joey, what are you doing? You know what I mean? There has to be somebody that can get through to you
him
at that moment, be like, yo, snap out of it, dog. Like, bro, this is not going to end well. Don't do this.
He was seconds away from climbing that fence.
I mean, he was on his way.
Yeah, he was gonna do. That's what I'm saying. That wasn't a bluff. That wasn't like NBA push and shove. That was, bro, you're about to get your ass kicked, and it's gonna be bad because there's not a person around to help you.
I mean, he was standing by himself up there. Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Express, as they are located on Florida Boulevard. They're on the corner of Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard. They can you can shop both sites for cars. If you find your inventory over in Laplace, just get in touch with Go Chevrolet, and they'll bring the car over here to Baton Rouge if you're looking for it over at Go Express. But Go Express has great selections of used cars that you can find over there on Florida Boulevard. Check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. GEAUXChevrolet.com is where you can find Go Chevrolet. Lee Carney, Nick Richard, of course, who who has been around the automotive industry and has great experience now doing their thing at Go Chevrolet. Check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. I mean, looking back to that, how good was the 91 team? I mean, with Mouton and Email and Cordani and the pitching staff of Bird and Auger and Sorotka was a youngster on that one, but Chad Auger and his performance in the 91 game.
Yeah, what I think Ronnie said is like we just rode him. Like he's like, I think I threw 150 pitches.
What did he say? He threw 19 or he threw 10 complete games?
Yes, that's hard. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ronnie says like, dude, we just rode him. Like we didn't know he was like until his arm falls off, he was going out there. And then, but that Skip dude, like to give you the belief that you can do it in that moment and be like, dude, keep going it out there, and that's when the hold the rope started. And then Skip tell him the story of like, oh, he puts the ball in the glove,
God,
and he said, hold the rope.
I got chills when he told that story.
And then that's where it all comes from. It was so cool.
And how you see Auger and Rick Green's ear, and like what Skip Bertman can bring you back there and tells him, hold the rope. I mean, that was...
He's an all-time storyteller.
He is. That's what makes him great in this medium, in those mediums, is how good of a storyteller he is. And you can tell a good storyteller because of the way people impersonate them and the way that they're able to display and color out the stories as well. I mean, he makes it very easy to bring you back and impersonate what he's talking about.
And everybody does it. Everybody will slip into Skip Bertman when they're talking about him. It's so fun. No matter if your impersonation is good,
Mark
I
Everett.
do it. Yeah,
Mark
everybody
Everett.
was doing it.
Yeah, right.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're good, bad, doesn't matter. You're just going to kind of try to be like Skip for a second. It's so funny.
Saban, I love the Saban input there.
Alpha.
Yes,
Two alphas.
Absolutely, man. And just kind of going back to some of those conversations. Randy Lanois says that he watched the hidden ball play live. He had no idea that Skip had created and called that play. How lucky was LSU to get him? I mean, really and truly. I mean, Ron Frazier, for all intents and purposes, had it set up for him to kind of hand off the reins to Skip. He had given him the responsibility of coaching the team. I mean, that Miami team was coached by Skip Bertman on the field. What Bertman was able to learn under Frazier was the promotions aspect, the salesman aspect, the ability to promote and gain marketing ground on your program and create interest. And it looked like that thing was going to be a simple handoff to Skip. I mean, you could even tell on some of those interviews back in the day in Miami.
He called his shot.
He did call his shot while that guy still had his job. I mean, Frazier still has his job, and he's like, I would like to stay here and be the head coach of a Miami-Dade school. And the lady's like, well, there's only one school. And he's like,
Ron
looking
Frazier,
at her
you got to
like,
watch your back.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, don't let me mince my words here, lady. I mean, pick up what I'm putting down. And then on the way out, when he said, I had it promised here that I was going to be able to stay. And like, it was kind of like a shot, like saying like, I thought you guys told me I was going to get the job. But Bob Broadhead is, you know, I mean, when he's looked back in the history of LSU annals, his legacy is not that good as far as what he left. I mean, the program, he got the program into some trouble, but the coaches he brought in, you know, I mean, he hired Bill Arnsbarger on the football field, which turned to lightning in a bottle real quick for the early 80s after Jerry Stovall, and then obviously bringing in Skip Bertman and having that tie to Miami-Dade County and being able to pull Bertman into Baton Rouge during that time and create the LSU baseball buzz that is today will go down as an all-time. And like Ben McDonald said, I don't know if you can argue that if in 25 years from now, which would be almost like 50 years since Skip, if you can't look back and say he is the most influential LSU figure of all time, not just baseball, not really just athletics. I mean, somebody that brought LSU so much notoriety, attention, and put on the map not only the baseball program, but I mean his success as an athletics director.
Changed the university.
It definitely did.
And the state.
Absolutely did. It did. Hunt Palmer will talk specifically about what's going on with LSU baseball here now, as he will be inside of the UDL when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Don't forget that daily we are brought to you by Hub International. Hub International is the official insurance agency of the Jordy Culotta Show, also of the New Orleans Pelicans and the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk to Hunt Palmer next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Stop in and see the crew in LaPlace, Louisiana. If you're shopping inventory in LaPlace and need it here in Baton Rouge, they can get it to Go Express Auto Sales, which is located at Sherwood and Florida Boulevard.
Get yourself a Spark.
Go Express, Go Chevrolet, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Hunt Palmer in the UDL, just like he is every single Tuesday, which we always appreciate his knowledge, especially during this time of the sports calendar while baseball is front and center. Last night, LSU Baseball was all over the SEC Network. The Hold the Rope documentary featuring around Skip Bertman and the monster, which is now LSU Baseball. We just talked to Ben McDonald, who was a huge piece of that. What's your first memory of Skip Bertman and LSU Baseball? Do you have any?
Well, it's different for me because, in that time, in the early – well, first of all, I was born in 88. So you talk about some of those early ones, the Todd Walker years, the Paul Bird years, the Mike Siraki year. Like, they're not on TV until they get to Omaha, and I'm too young to pay any attention to it. So I knew of LSU, that I was pulling for LSU, and that it was a big deal when Warren Morris hit the home run. That's kind of my first big, memory. I followed the 97 team in Omaha very closely, not anything before that. And then the first time I really got into it was 2000. Me and my dad came down, unfortunately, for the Houston series, which they got swept.
Jeez.
But I knew all the guys, and I've told Terry this a number of times. Like, I started wearing number 1 with my socks high because of him. It was
Nice.
that's the first team I really I followed from start to finish.
Nice. What did you learn last night?
So, Monday's my New Orleans day. Got home at about 7. Went for an hour-long
Don't you
walk.
tell me that you didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No way.
So I got home. We went for an hour-long walk, cooked dinner, and then she wanted to watch Mayor of Easttown. This is this HBO show we're watching, which is awesome.
Whoa.
Yes.
So we watched that. And it
Kelly's
was,
on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was 10:30 at that point, and we turned the lights out. I'll watch it after the game tonight.
Wow, Hunt. That is amazing. I had to put my life on that.
I would have bet so much money.
I had to put my life on that.
Appointment viewing.
That's incredible. What did you make of Landon Marceau getting the nod today? Well, take me back to Thursday, and what was your instant reaction when he took the ball from him?
I was pretty shocked when I heard when he took the ball from him. I thought, he's really gonna save him for Hoover. We got to win league games now. So I thought that was just awful, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Landon said, I just don't have much in the tank. And look, I'm not there. I don't pretend to understand. I understand that some of the guys who have taken the baseball for the purple and gold didn't think that was a great reasoning.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out because LSU was able to, it didn't have to tax the bullpen too much in that game. You were able to come back and win the next 2, and now you can turn around and you can throw him. And I would expect him to be ready to go. I mean, he's had 4 days rest. He threw 40-something pitches. I would say that it's absolutely realistic for Landon to throw 95 pitches today. I think it's important that he looks really good, that he feels really good, because he's the biggest piece to this puzzle next week. But, it would really be nice for LSU to win a game today so that they can get Labus back on the mound for a little bit of action, can get some of these younger pitchers into some games with some people in the stands in Hoover before you go to regional play next week. So I don't think there's a ton to gain for LSU. I think if LSU loses today, they're a 3 seed. I think if they get all the way to Sunday, they're a 3 seed. It's just a matter of how well you play, how the guys you can get on the mound, and that's where it starts.
Where is LSU baseball right now from your point of view? I mean, where are they as far as compared to a month ago?
They played some worse teams, and they took care of them. That gives you some encouragement. They didn't quit. They've played hard. Their backs were against the wall for 2 games in College Station on the road, and they came out and swung the bats and did enough to win, even when they really got behind the 8 ball there in Game 2. I think that Paul Mainieri won't tell them this. He'll tell them that we're here to win a tournament. Starts today. Got to get after it and go win a ball game, and we're here to play deep into this thing and win the tournament. My thought process, if I was talking to him, would say, hey, guys, we need to go out there and play as hard as we can, have some fun, and the results this week don't really matter. Because, I trust Kendall and Aaron at D1 Baseball. I trust the Baseball America gang to put together a bubble. Not necessarily to get everyone right, but to put together 10 teams that I'm looking at with LSU. And when I do that, I can't get them out. Especially with some of the results of last weekend with Tulane getting swept, and UC Santa Barbara dropped a couple. There's just too many teams backed up, and LSU didn't. They won their 4th road series. They have 10 quad 1 wins. Maryland had a nice weekend, and they moved themselves into a pretty solid 3 seed. But there just aren't enough teams on the bowl. Alabama obviously got swept and backed up. I think LSU's in. The results this week don't really matter. You're a 3 seed. You're going to have to travel somewhere. Hopefully, for me, it's Louisiana Tech or South Bend because I don't really want to go to Austin. You're talking about probably the 3rd pick in the draft is a pitcher for Texas. Don't really want to deal with that. But I think that the thing for LSU this week is just go let it rip and have some fun.
Mikhail Hilliard, where did he come from? Did you expect him to have this type
Well, the
of
news
impact?
is no, I did not expect him to, but it's not as if he's never done it.
Right.
3 years ago, he was essentially the best pitcher on the staff. And he was hit really hard last year and was hit pretty hard this year. And then he's kind of found it again. And it's all about, for him, landing that curveball in for called strikes, throwing it over the plate. When Alex Lang was throwing breaking balls for LSU, he was bouncing them, and they were swinging over the top of him because they had to deal with the 93, 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and it was a hard, sharp break, and he was bouncing them and getting swings and misses. Mikhail's stuff is not good enough to have guys chasing that bad. But if he can throw it over the plate, they got to swing at it. And that thing's got a ton of downward tilt to it, and it's hard to hit. And he's got it kind of dialed in right now, and guys are not making a lot of solid contact. If you look at his pitch counts, he's not striking a ton of guys out. He's just getting early, not hard contact and getting outs.
Some awards came out yesterday, and a couple of these freshmen were recognized. Marceau was recognized by the conference. When you look at this roster, this should be a competitive roster at this point of the season, right?
Yeah, I think they're a live 3. I think that's easy for us to say, but when I compare them to some of the 3 seeds that have come into Baton Rouge over the years, the Sam Houston States and the UNOs and a Tulane team that wasn't great a few years ago, LSU is better than that. I mean, they're going to throw a second-round draft pick at somebody. They've got a couple of guys in Morgan and Cruz who are all-American type players. Dugas has, 14, 15 home runs. I mean, it's a team that's got some pieces. They got some warts, sure. The bullpen struggled at times, and their second starter, Levis, is in a huge funk right now and doesn't look great. And obviously, they've lost a ton of series and have been a little bit non-competitive against some of the elite teams on some days. But, again, when you compare them to some of those 3s that I just rattled off that have come into the box, they're better than those teams. They're a live 3.
Hunt Palmer in studio with us, LSU Sports Radio Network. What do you anticipate this afternoon?
Hancock for Georgia is not great. He hadn't been extended a ton this year. He started a lot of games, but he's not a guy who racks up a bunch of innings. Stuff's okay. I mean, he's given up 20 runs in 19 SEC innings, I think. I mean, that's not very good. They're without their best hitter. So it's a Georgia team that's not great, but certainly on a given day in Hoover, capable of playing a really good game and winning. Hoover's just so much fun because it's just a lot of really good teams, and very rarely is somebody just totally outclassed. And when Leiter goes out there, when Rocker goes out there, when Nikhazy pitches, that team is decidedly better than probably the other team they're facing. But, in today's case, LSU's got a better starter on the mound. They're playing better of late, but they're pretty evenly matched teams, and I think Georgia's back's a little bit against the wall. I would still lean to put them in. I've been very adamant about that the whole time, about how I think that these SEC teams that have played this ridiculous gauntlet of games and have played this tough schedule should get the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that the committee's ever proven that should be the case, but Georgia's going to play a little bit more desperately. I liked Scott Strickland's comment yesterday where he said, look, the winner of this game is in the NCAA tournament because we're the 8 and the 9 seed, and they ain't taking 7 SEC teams. Yeah. And that's reasonable. I mean, I think LSU's in it anyway. The RPI, the strength of schedule, 4 road conference wins, 10 Q1 wins, all that loaded up is hard for me to get LSU out. But the point remains pretty solid. Like, we're 8 and 9. The SEC's gotten 10 into the last 2 tournaments we've played. We feel pretty good, but the winner feel better.
What's the ceiling for this team? If they get into a regional, can they advance?
Absolutely.
So they could
Would
go
I bet on them?
supers?
Would I bet on them? Absolutely not. But this tournament,
I think people think they're worse than they are. I think they're better than people think.
this tournament, Kent State's gone to Omaha. Coastal's won the title. Fresno's won the title. We saw Stony Brook come in here. I mean, it's
baseball.
Yeah, Cal wasn't a great team. They got into they won a regional, went to College Station to play another pretty poor A&M team that finally won and got to Omaha. Vanderbilt was 7th in the league when they won the national championship. I think Virginia was 4th in their division when they won the title. Just get in and play some baseball. And LSU's got some dudes. Look, They have not proven that they can play 3 games on a weekend. And, they showed up on Thursday in College Station and couldn't hit. And they had some chances to sweep in weeks prior, couldn't get it done. Oxford, they threw up all over themselves late in the game, couldn't get it done against Alabama in game. So they haven't proven that. So would I bet on to win a regional? No. But if you get in, absolutely they can win.
Who's the best team in Hoover?
Man, at this point, me not saying Arkansas is trying a little bit too hard, but Vanderbilt's rotation's better than theirs.
Mm-hmm. Did
So
they play this year?
No, I don't believe so because Arkansas didn't lose a series, so if they did, Arkansas would have won it. But I don't recall those two playing. But I'll take Leiter and Rocker against
anybody
against those guys.
Yeah. What'd you think of T.J. Finley going to Auburn?
I think it's interesting. Now, if Malzahn was there and he had his guy that had been in his system, that whole deal, I don't think it works. With the new set of eyes, maybe. To be quite honest, I think he's a talented player. If that's who Auburn trots out at quarterback, I'm not going to be terrified. I certainly think he's capable of winning a league game. He did it for LSU, but I'll be just fine with it.
LSU basketball, all of them are showing up. They say the pickup games at the practice court right now you could charge admission to. What are you looking forward to?
Charge me admission.
To the next season's podcast. It will be daily again for the
we're
fourth straight year.
We're gonna load it back up. We keep winning. It's fun.
Got that Howie's money, dude.
Hell
That's
yeah,
exactly
man.
right.
That's right.
I'm excited. I think the roster's kind of taking shape. We'll see what Days does in the next couple of weeks, but it's another really good team. I think it's a top 4 SEC team. That's kind of what you shoot for, and I think the expectation changes next year. It's no longer, man, this is cool. We're probably going to be pretty good. We might probably make the tournament. It's like, okay, let's get to the second weekend. Like, let's make it happen.
Has your sock game always been that strong, or is that a wifey?
No, it's
gift
of a friend. I enjoy him. I've got like 5 or 6
Is that
pairs.
Moscona?
It is.
Yeah.
And
How high do you
them.
pull those up?
They go pretty high.
Yeah, bro.
See, I don't understand
But the
that.
thing about those
Is they don't move.
They don't move.
They've got
I
little
know
rubber
that.
things
They
in
don't
them that
move.
they stick right there.
But they're called ankle socks. Like they go to your ankle, right? Like that's what
No,
they're
these
for.
are dress socks.
I know, but you don't pull them all the way up to your knee.
Yeah, these you do.
They're like baseball socks.
Supposed to scrunch them down here.
I think you do the fold. I do the fold. I
No
pull
way,
and fold.
bro.
I just leave
I'm
them
a
right.
What is
tight.
this? First grade at the boarding school?
I don't go
Step
all the
up,
way.
model those socks for us, son. Good to
Look
see you.
how
man.
high he goes up. That's
And I would do
bizarre.
it. That's
That's
the
how you
play.
gotta do it.
That is the play.
I'm not a dress sock guy, but
Have a good day.
That shocked me a little bit.
Later, buddy.
right, guys.
Hud Palmer from the LSU Sports Radio Network. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Johnson Spillers. They are our dentist. You can find them in Gonzales and in Baton Rouge.
And in your mouth.
Yes, all up in your mouth. Johnson Spillers online, johnsonspillers.com. Pediatric dentist. If your kids need help in Gonzales, in Baton Rouge, check out and find them here. They're in Perkins Road in Baton Rouge and off of Papera Avenue in Gonzales, johnsonspillers.com. We'll be back to close out hour 1 here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet, is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. What is the proper way to wear a dress sock? We're contemplating here in the break. I say you go full extension, bro. If you can get full extension out of a sock, I see no reason why not to pull it all the way up. Now, this is an inexperienced room when it comes to dress socks.
That's true.
We fight corporate order. We have no time for suits.
We rage against the machine.
Anything that calls for a coat and tie, we're usually checked out on that event. Yeah, right. You guys good with board shorts?
What are we doing here? I did go to a wedding recently, and I said no tie. I went top button all the way to the top.
Wow.
Chain.
Chain.
And a jacket.
You should have done turtleneck.
Yes. Basically, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Going for like a little Conor McGregor feel.
Right. Little Suge Knight.
It was a hit.
Yeah, a little Tupac.
Yes.
Early on. I've totally ditched the tie. Anytime it calls for a suit, I'll never wear the tie anymore, just because it's so uncomfortable and I feel so squarey.
You're restricted.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
In the
it's
tie.
a death sentence.
It's
what
a
it feels
corporate
like.
thumb on you.
Yes.
I'm open neck.
Yeah,
open neck.
Do you go when you do wear a tie? Do you button it and then unbutton it and put the tie up a little tighter?
I do.
Yeah.
Every
Oh.
time. I'm just trying to give you the visual that I am not fully bought into this.
Yes. I'm checked out.
And I'll usually go with an Air Force One shoe or some type of non-dress shoe. You will not find me in a wingtip, right?
Nice. No Kramers.
No Kramers. That's confidence.
That's what I did.
That's
Loafers.
confidence. I don't have the confidence to pull off the sockless loafer.
I did sockless loafers and they were red,
Whew.
When was this?
buddy.
Wow.
A month ago.
A wedding?
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I'm sure the bride hated you.
When,
No, we were great friends.
when
Okay.
you
Yeah,
Who's
what
the asshole trying to steal my
she-
sign?
No, she expected it.
wait, when you had the
If I didn't do it, she'd have been upset.
Okay.
when you
Yeah.
had the chain, like you had the red loafers.
Oh yeah, I showed
Wow.
out. Yeah, my mother was pissed, but you know, I'm old enough to make my own decisions. Some of them are bad, some of them are
That
good.
guy's
I
fun.
may not be
Yeah.
out of the house just yet, but I'm making my own choices.
Yes, yeah, they got a lot of looks going to the bathroom.
Cody Boudreaux, he buttons the top button too. Brandon Bugara, absolutely full extension on the dress sock. I agree.
This is just bizarre. Look at you look like somebody that like the old school lingerie that you had to like garters. That's what you're doing to yourself, men. You're pulling your garters up.
Here's my reference on the dress sock. And again, totally inexperienced in this corner of the room. I wouldn't take what I'm saying with any type of strategy
isn't the
to
end
take
all
into the
be
day.
all.
Absolutely. But it is very rare that you can find a sock that when you fully extend that it can hold all day. And that sock that
True.
Hunt had
It's
on.
not supposed to be up that high.
Yes, but that sock that Hunt had on, the one that Moscona promotes all the time. I think it's like Dead Soxy or something like Soxy, whatever,
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
I get that.
They have stick power, bro.
But wouldn't they
And-
stick anywhere?
What do you mean?
Like, no matter how high or low you pull them up, they would still stay.
Correct, but our debate is if you can get full extension out of the sock, you're going full extension.
But then you get the sock outline.
I
on
don't
your
like
calf.
that feeling of something that high up on my
Yeah.
leg.
Lloyd,
Is
I'm
that
with you.
comfortable?
No.
It can't be. But y'all do you. You'll pull your socks up, take your pants off after the night, and see what kind of looks you get when you try to go to bed and your socks are up to your knees. Okay, you just took baseball pants off.
That would be a torture for me to sleep in socks. Anything. First off,
That's a date question. Do you sleep with socks
That is a
on?
date question.
first date, is that a deal breaker?
Whoa, dude, you're going first date with that question? The date must be going great.
That's right. You sleep with socks on or
So,
off?
yeah, we go with socks
Check,
on.
please.
Yes.
I got homework at this hour.
Yeah, no, socks are an absolute deal. Like, not a deal breaker for me. I don't wear them, but I know people that do.
Which is totally weird.
I don't know many men that do it. It's a lot. I think it's a girl thing.
Possibly, but I find all clothes to be restrictive. I think that in the summertime, I mean, one of the first things I do when I get home, in between the months of starting about now through early September, late August, is, I mean, by the time I get to the hallway, I'm nearly naked.
You have
You know
a lot
what I
of
mean?
windows. You're basically a nudist. You have a lot of windows
Yes.
at your house.
Yes, big backyard.
Wife beater and underwear.
That's right. No undies, bro. Not in the summertime months. I mean, what has been your impression of this heat, Jack? This is your
Not right now. I'm good. I'm
This
good.
is going to be your first experience with the South Louisiana summer,
July's gonna be rough when I move into my frat house with no AC.
but you have not.
Is this your first
is
July
your
in
first-
Louisiana?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
bro.
Yeah, if you think naked's weird, you're gonna want to be less than naked.
Yeah.
They have to skin me.
Yeah.
Where? So you're living in the frat house this summer?
Yeah, in July.
No privacy.
Wow.
If we can finish renovating it, I'll figure it out.
I feel like AC needs to be the first thing on that list.
Yeah, you need a window unit. You need one of those
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll figure it out.
LSU going this afternoon.
Dude, him even saying that just makes me know he has no clue.
He has
Ain't
no
no
idea.
figuring it
I'll
out.
figure it out.
No, dude.
Boyish optimism.
You're gonna
No
realize,
idea.
like, oh my God, I've made a huge
Just
mistake.
July
You're gonna
11th.
People live here.
July
You're
10th.
gonna be Jim Carrey coming out the rhino's ass. And
LSU baseball heading into Hoover today. As we said, 4:30 approximate start for the Tigers as they'll be taking on Georgia. Hunt gives a little breakdown there, and you have to feel good about where LSU is going into the matchup, just for the confidence that they have been playing with and what they've accomplished over the last month. Add all that up with Landon Marceau getting the nod again today. Feels like LSU's sitting in a good place going into this afternoon.
That's your dog. You ride him.
Yeah. I
I would
mean,
like to be able to gamble on college baseball for this. I feel like
Oh,
LSU would be a great pick today.
yes,
Yeah.
they feel like the play
Yes.
today. I mean, they feel like they've got momentum.
Let's
They feel
see,
like
let's
they've got
see.
their
Give
guy.
me
Going
a
against a
second.
Tex
freshman.
Mincy. I mean, Tex Mincy. I know Mincy. One of his big pushes is college baseball
Book.
and gambling.
Barstool doesn't have a book for college baseball.
Not yet.
I think it's contingent on where you are.
Sure.
Since when does the state have morals?
It's what we've been debating, man. Did y'all see this Aaron Rodgers interview with Kenny Mayne? That is the beautiful part about Kenny Mayne. That's where we strive to be. If we are going to be,
How comfortable is he in his own skin?
I guess we're
Yeah.
we're fringe media, or as some media would call us, fringe fans with a microphone. But that is the place that you want to get to, right? That comfort level where you can really break somebody down and take them in on a personal level, on a national stage like Maine and Rodgers.
And I feel like
shared
Rodgers
yesterday.
is.
And you got everything that you needed out of the interview. There was points in times I thought where Maine was kind of thinking, man, is this not going to get? I'm not going to get any information about what's going on in Green Bay and just kind of his situation because he's making it all about me. Which it's Kenny Mayne's last show on SportsCenter. That's kind of the that's kind of
crux
the
of the
reason.
interview, yes.
Yeah, that's the
Who's
the
left
reason.
on SportsCenter?
From the old guard,
SVP, and that's it.
SVP, who they had to break the bank to.
I guess,
to
yeah,
really
and
pay.
Bucci, man.
Yeah, Bucci's there.
Okay, yeah.
Linda Cohn is doing Los Angeles Sports Center. Stan Verrett in that crew.
I hate ESPN Los Angeles.
Do you?
Stealing our one thing we have.
Stan Verrett is a New Orleans native.
Yes,
Yeah,
very
Saint-
big Louisiana guy.
St. Aug guy.
But that's when my mother knew that there was something wrong with me. Is whenever she woke up and I was probably like 5 or 6 years old, and Linda Cohn was on TV. She's like, "Aren't you supposed to be like watching cartoons?" And I was like, "No, it's SportsCenter." And she was like, "Oh Lord, I'm
Yeah.
in for something,
Yeah.
dude. This kid's watching the news, basically."
I was the same way.
Yeah,
I mean, I would watch. Like,
on repeat.
yes, absolutely. I
Same
remember
thing 10 times.
my dad. I remember my dad used to tell. We would be at like like crawfish boils or something, and he would tell, his friends how he had VHSs of LSU games from the early 80s, and I would just put those in the VHS, and like late at night, and he would go to bed and wake up, and I would be like changing the tapes and just keep watching, and I would know names and numbers and where people were from, and he would just be like, bro, you got to do something around sports.
Yeah, otherwise you're in trouble, dude. You can't do, you
you're
pigeonhole
junkie.
yourself. Yes.
It
could have been anything.
Good Lord, come off of it, man.
They lose.
Yes. It's good. Yeah, right. Have you seen the 82 Orange Bowl, Dad? Dalton Hilliard, got stopped on 4th and 1. He's like, yeah,
Can you believe the play call?
Yeah, man.
I think, when is it time do we even need to rewatch last season? Because I usually do. I guess I do that. Like, I'll go back and watch the previous season of LSU football. Obviously, 2019 was very easy to do. I did that, throughout even during the season. But do I need to go back and watch 2020 just to get or is it going to be totally different?
No, it's going to be totally different.
But just to get a feel for the players.
I'll rewatch
Same
the
players.
Florida game.
Ole Miss game. Ole Miss, Florida game. The last 2 games of the season, they were trending in the right direction. That's the thing about LSU
They play a
football.
bowl game.
If they play a bowl game, you would have liked to have gotten the 15 extra practices out of the bowl that you get for the younger guys that are going to be there. But with with the newcomers coming in, the offensive and defensive coordinator turnover, the new passing game coordinator, it may not be the worst thing just to start this thing from square one on a springtime session and work yourself into the offseason and try to find out who you're going to be. That's one thing that I thought, LSU football has struggled for so long before really Orgeron got there, was with the identity of the program. Like, even though you're a major player in college football and you're always atop the recruiting rankings and the national rankings, you really don't have an identity of who you are. In the early 2000s, LSU was a defensive program. They won with defense. Nick Saban brought in a reputation of a defensive backfield that had playmakers. He had guys on the edge like Marquise Hill and Marcus Spears that could get to the quarterback. Corey Webster, Travis Daniels, LaRon Landry, Jack Hunt on the back end of defenses making plays. And LSU kind of got a reputation for winning 21, 24-7, 21-13, 28-12. Just in these low-scoring defensive battles, LSU would win. And then you saw them get away from that style of play. LSU would have rotations of defensive linemen in those 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons that were 6, 7 guys deep. They started to get into defensive line rotations that had one major player, a guy like Michael Brockers or Anthony Johnson or Ego Ferguson, that year that those guys had to play nearly every snap. Who were they? They were recruiting coordinators, or they were recruiting quarterbacks in the same draft, in the same recruiting class, that one was a dual threat, one was a pro style. They didn't have an identity of who they were. Now it feels like they have an identity, and they are reestablishing that at LSU with the defensive line rotation that Ed Orgeron is going to have, to the offense and the stability of bringing in a guy like Jake Peets, of someone who is familiar with what success looks like in this league, of a guy like Joe Brady who told Jake Peets, go take that job, man, because you'll have an opportunity to coach at a minimum 3 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons, 4 first-round picks. And that's going to bring you a lot of attention. What's your aspirations? I'd imagine that Jake Peets would like to be an NFL offensive coordinator. Guys that have worked in the NFL usually aspire to get back there because it's all about football. There's no recruiting. Joe Brady would be a phenomenal head football coach in college, but the guy hates to recruit because it takes him out of the film room, takes him off the chalkboard. It takes him away from just talking ball, which when you get to that level, that's all those guys really want to do. Now, the paychecks make you pay attention to what's going on in college football. But I'd imagine that Jake Peets and Durante Jones, for that matter, aspire to be back into the NFL at some period over the next couple of seasons. But for LSU, that's to me, where you start building this farm system within. You have an identity. You know who you want to be. You want to be a spread style, dual threat, RPO offense where you've got threats at every position, including quarterback. Joe Brady aligned that, laid that out for you in 2019. You have kind of followed that path and hired along that line of thinking with bringing DJ Mangus back, who was really, for all intents and purposes, that is Joe Brady's top aide. I mean, they played together in college. They've coached together everywhere. He knows every single part of Joe Brady's system. He's now the passing game coordinator. Jake Peets, who Joe Brady hand-selected in his first offensive coordinator job in the NFL to work alongside with at Carolina, is now the offensive coordinator after Orgeron picked up the phone and said, hey, Joe, help us out, man. We need to get back to where we were in 19, not necessarily breaking records and winning Heisman Trophy winners. You want all that to come, but they just want to be functional on offense and have an identity. And I think that's what Jake Peets immediately brings, and it gives Orgeron the opportunity to build a farm system where DJ Mangus in a really well thought out world should be the offensive coordinator at LSU in 3 seasons. Because if everything goes right, you go with Max Johnson the next 2 years, and this offense is really good next season and elite in 2 years. When you've got a guy in Max Johnson who's been running the system for 2 years, he's seen experience and been on the road in the SEC. You've been through all types of scenarios with the offense, and you're playing with an upper-class quarterback and an NFL offensive coordinator. Same can be said on Durante Jones on the backside, on the defensive back end. He's a defensive back coach coming from the NFL who's going to have access to Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks over the next 2 seasons. You think there's going to be some attention shown to LSU in draft rooms? You think people are going to ask, who the hell's LSU's defensive backs coach? That's Durante Jones. He was in Minnesota coaching the NFL a couple years back. Get him on the phone. I mean, so Durante Jones has his pupils underneath him that they are grooming to step up and take over and keep that identity for LSU rolling downhill. Both in recruiting, you identify a type of player, you go after that player, you get that player, bring him in, develop him, turn him into an NFL prospect, and get him drafted. I mean, you know, that the formula is not tough. It's just very hard to put together.
It's hard to find the professors.
But once you find the personnel and once you find the group that creates your identity and buys into your plan, you just keep incubating.
Yeah.
Put oil in that machine, put gas in it, put air in the tires, dude.
So
People will pick you off with success. Success leaves breadcrumbs, or the trail of breadcrumbs. Look at Nick Saban, the coaching tree.
I mean, it's a huge testament and a huge compliment to what Saban has going on, to the amount of people that come and raid his program every year, right? But I mean,
seems like he has a new OC every year.
But he's now dipping into the NFL. He's got Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone on his offensive staff.
As analysts, dude, not even like as analysts.
No. Marone's the offensive line coach, and O'Brien's,
they're both OC and
the OC. But
yeah,
I mean, 2 years ago, he's got.
That's what I was thinking.
He's got. I mean, he's got.
Sark started as an analyst, and then they move him up.
And then he brought him back as an analyst to move him back as an OC. And then he had Charlie Strong as an analyst last year. But, LSU is doing that as well. That 5 years ago, that was something that really Alabama was lapping the field with. Now, Texas A&M's got that with Jimbo. They've got it in Oxford with Lane Kiffin. They've got it in Baton Rouge with Ed Orgeron. They've got it in Gainesville with Dan Mullen. They've got it in Athens with Kirby Smart.
SEC money you can pay.
Absolutely. So, I think that what Orgeron has now is a program with the correct personnel in the right spots where you can now create this identity and breed a feeding ground of where you are just developing your own guys and you're almost promoting within. continuously as you're cherry picked from around either the conference or around the NFL. So it'll be interesting. Cliff Nelson writes in about LSU's shot to Arch Manning and what the quarterback room may look like at that time when Manning comes up in the recruiting cycle. I don't have necessarily high hopes for LSU in this recruitment of Arch Manning. I think that
be awesome, bro.
It would be fantastic. It would be great.
Kind of all in on Walker.
Yeah.
I'm all in on Walker Howard as well. I think that Walker Howard is the best one out of the bunch for sure. But I also think that there are other guys outside of Manning in that class that you can win with. Ja Eugene Jr. We were just talking about LSU defensive backs. Ja Eugene Jr. is one of the top quarterbacks in the country in that classification. Ricky Collins at Woodlawn.
Blown up.
People better pay attention to Ricky Collins.
Same class as Arch?
Same class. Guy is, a playmaker and really turning a lot of heads over at Woodlawn right now. And then when you talk about Eli Holstein at Zachary, same classification, big arm, has been and seen some success on the 7-on-7 and off-season circuit. So there's going to be options there, but as far as the room and what it'll look like at that time, I think Walker Howard will be settled in as LSU's quarterback. And, if all things work out how you potentially see them happening, Howard he's as good a quarterback as LSU has had just naturally in the recruiting process. You're just going after
Parallel.
and getting in the class. It's Ryan Parallel. That's the guy that I was thinking of. Just somebody that you seek out in recruiting. You're able to get a commitment from, get him on campus, and develop him. Now, when Parallel got here, it was another quarterback crowded room, and guys that had, just a little bit more experience were ahead of him. But as far as Walker Howard goes, he's the best quarterback prospect that Louisiana has produced, I guess, since Dak Prescott.
And I wouldn't even think that Dak Prescott was in. I would say that Walker, just because of the way recruiting's changed and how much you can watch him and kind of see what they do, I didn't feel like Dak Prescott was somebody that we absolutely had to have, He was, didn't Les Miles recruit him to come be a tight end?
Tight end.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a miss, and Les Miles tended to do that from time to time. But I feel like Parallel was one of the few times that we've circled, pinned on the board, had been like, we have to have that, and we've gotten it. And Walker Howard's the same way. Like, you have to have that guy on campus. And for everything that he said, he's all LSU. And I think if you can transition from Max Johnson to Walker Howard and kind of keep that with the same crew that we have here, whether it be Jake Pete still around or whoever he thumbs to be the next person, that's how you get the ball rolling and continue something that's where there is no 5-5 season.
Well, the thing that you have to make sure that you recruit against and you coach against is as less amount of turnover in personnel and philosophy over the next couple of years because of what the quarterback position looks like in the state. You want to be able to sell to somebody, this is what it's going to look like when you get here. LSU really ran into a problem after 2019 from the sense of you went from this wide open attack to bringing in Scott Linehan, where it just felt like, that's kind of what I thought you guys were coming from. That's where you guys were.
Trying to get away from.
Yeah, right. Are you going back to where you were before you found the promised land? Why not go find young, innovative, maybe name off of the radar type guy to come back in? You don't necessarily, you just came off of a record-breaking season into which everybody is trying to get into your program and find out how'd you do it. Don't go hire Scott Linehan. Don't go 100 years
Rest
backwards.
to the mean, exactly.
So, bringing in Jake Peets and DJ Mangus, I like the fact that these guys weren't name brand household names.
I like the young hires finding the next trend.
Man.
Well, yeah, because it's also because we're all burned by the Cam Cameron hire. Like, it felt that the Scott Linehan felt very similar to the Cam Cameron of like, I know this guy, we can bring him in. It's a name that people recognize, and I won't get in trouble for doing it. As opposed to like, do what you just did. Go out there and do like your due diligence to go find somebody that will change the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Create identity. Who do you want to be? It's your It's within your power. It's within your decision making to create your identity, and I think that's what the great programs have, man.
What would you say LSU's identity is? I would say they run the spread. You put your wide receivers in space, make a move on defense. You just try and get a turnover and put pressure.
Playmaking on offense and one-on-one on defense. Can you win one-on-one in the SEC in defense? If you're LSU, you were recruiting the top athletes and the top players at every position, and you bring them in to win one-on-one on Saturday.
Trying to outdog people.
Derek Stingley Jr., do you want to go guard George Pickens? Do you want to guard Alabama's draft pick this season, first-round draft pick, whoever that may be? Do you want to guard Kyle Pitts, Eli Ricks? Do you want that opportunity on Saturday and show NFL guys? You want to get to the league? Go give them
Guard
that
'em.
film. Win the one-on-one. That's who LSU is defensively from an identity standpoint, and offensively, the way that they were trending after 19 was put playmakers in space and let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Justin Jefferson. One football, but you can spread it around and everybody eats. Everybody can eat. Everybody can get numbers. Everybody can get shine. Everybody is going to play well on Saturday because you're going to be in a position where they just get you the ball and you are you.
Make a move.
You are Keyshawn Butte. You are Jack Besh.
I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. There's too many guys and not enough footballs.
That's it. But there is. There is. If 2019 can show you anything, it's the fact that you can have a dog at every position and everybody can eat. I mean, Terrace Marshall was the most.
Number 3.
I mean, he was the number 3 wide receiver, but if you rewind the film in the first 3 games of the season, he had like 7 touchdowns.
Before he got hurt, he was the best wide receiver.
And he was like Joe's security blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Jamar and Justin were sure-handed, when it started to break down, he was looking for 6 and even 81. You
That's
know,
where I like
mean,
Beck. He can be a great security blanket.
Who's that?
Jack Beck.
Jack Besh. Yeah.
I was watching when you were saying his Catholic film. Oh my God, he tore them up.
They were double teaming him. They were triple teaming him. They were putting 2 in front of him and rolling the safety over the top.
We gave him a late offer too.
Yes, they made him earn it. They made him fight, scratch, and claw for that offer, and the entire time in a state that was packed with wide receiver talent. And those cats, Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Malik Neighbors, those cats can go. I mean, they are game breakers. I still think Jack Besh was the best one, and that's not any disrespect to any of those guys, because I all think that they are going to eat. I think that all of them are going to eat. But when you talk about instant impact and wide receiver, the wide receiver play, route running, catching the football, ability to make plays with the ball after the catch, blocking downfield, Jack Besh checks every single box, and he has done it for the last 2 years. I'm not an evaluator. I'm not a recruiter. Those guys have forgotten more recruiting and more football than I will ever remember or know.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what the hell they were looking at when they were looking at Besh and said, maybe next week we'll offer him.
I think
What?
it was just like small schools, like the Ivy League. They got to him early. I don't know.
Well, he was a Vanderbilt commit. But once the LSU offer came in, I mean,
I think that's what it was. I think they knew if they offered him, he was going to commit.
that and everybody came in after that. I mean, Alabama, Texas, Notre Dame, Florida State. I mean, all of the schools began to offer after LSU jumped in and gave the offer to Besh. I think that he's going to be. I think all.
So he's
those
your
guys,
impact freshman.
I think that he is a safe bet.
I think it's just because he's going to be on the field.
Exactly.
Because he's SEC body ready right now. Like he's
Yeah,
big
he's
and
massive.
and he's already high school wise. He's like I would say he could step out there play and you wouldn't tell he's a freshman. But he hasn't even gotten in the weight room yet with LSU. Like he's going to get a fall underneath him and get ready for that first week. He's a monster.
Yes, he is, and I think he is an impact freshman. I think that when you look at potentially these running backs, Corey Kiner and Amari Goodwin, that those two guys could have instant impacts. So I think that this freshman class is, for as talented as LSU is, they're right back in that situation where you've got almost the perfect touch of veteran and experience mixed along a very talented incoming rookie new face class.
Oh, man. Summer practices, it's just go get it.
Yeah.
Earn it.
Yeah.
Talk about some good practices.
Yeah, the wideouts and the DBs going against each other. I mean, I still recall the first time I saw Stingley and Chase going against each other on an LSU practice field. I saw them at a camp a couple of years ago going at one another, but on the LSU practice field, and you could just feel that it was the absolute example of iron sharpening iron. I mean, it was two uncaged pit bulls just getting after each other.
In their face
and then when
mask
the
every
whistle
play.
blows, a respect level of almost appreciation of I thank you for bringing the best out of me.
Well, because neither one of them have ever been tested like that. I'd imagine going into college, and even when they're playing on Saturdays, they're like, I ain't lining up against anybody that's as good as Derek Stingley Jr. Like, I ain't never seen this before. I've never been like, I'm sure Jamar Chase has never been clamped before. He's like, I can get open whenever I want. And then to be able to go into practice and be like, damn, I got to do this 5 times a week. When I get to Saturday, it's going to be easy.
It's that is where LSU, in my opinion, that's where they create that mentality. I mean, is on the practice field. My guy Harry Ballsack says, Jordy Culotta, are you concerned about playing either Mississippi schools at their place, considering the yards both schools put on LSU last year? Absolutely.
I'd say the lane train scares me.
For sure. I mean, when you talk about Lane Kiffin and when you talk about Leach's mind, offensive mind, I mean, both of you are going to keep you up all week, man.
Corral's probably the best quarterback coming back in the conference.
With coming back, I would say that's probably right. I'm trying to think. Matt Corral. Who else is coming back in the conference that would be anyone up to that? I mean, you've got
Mississippi State brought in so many people last year. I can't put a
who was
finger on it.
Who was the USC JT Daniels?
JT Daniels.
Georgia.
Maybe, but I mean, he didn't play a
think he's
lot.
good.
I don't think he is either.
Georgia's the least terrifying team to me in the SEC. Like in terms of like the big dogs.
They feel like Les Miles is LSU.
Yeah, like not. Yeah, exactly. I'd imagine that's what they felt like whenever we came into town.
People are high on Emory Jones at Florida.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll take that bet.
Play Emory Jones. I'd feel great about Florida. If you're LSU, you want them to play Emory Jones. To me, Emory Jones is a dynamic athlete that is very underwhelming as a passer, and in this league, in today's SEC, you got to be able to extend the field through the air. And if you can't push the ball down the field from the quarterback position, in my opinion, you're not really a threat. And Emory Jones was in a good spot where you could pepper him in, bring him all. If you make him your primary signal caller, he's not Kyle Trask.
I think that goes to my point, which I was going to make, is that Dan Mullen can kind of get the best out of anybody.
He can get the
Dan
best
Mullen
out
is
of
an excellent quarterbacks coach and
QB
offensive.
guru.
He really is, though. Like, people get hit with that label and it doesn't make sense a lot of times, but Dan Mullen has been able to pull some like rabbits out of hats for people, and I think Emory Jones is going to be a little bit dangerous.
I agree with Mullen's impact more than
We just haven't seen enough of Emory Jones to know. But I mean, he's an electric
with
athlete.
what I have seen, if he's the primary quarterback, I think LSU's better than Florida.
I think LSU's in probably in the catbird seat in terms of bringing back quarterbacks that have played before. We probably have the best. I mean, we got to pick two of best returners in the SEC of who you want to line up under center.
Yeah, I think LSU's in a great spot. All right, so we will talk to Shea Dixon is coming in tomorrow. As we were promoting.
You got Superior?
Yes,
$17 marks.
Right. $17 marks.
Probably can afford gas to get here, dude, after that.
So that's good stuff. We will come back with more of the Jordy Culotta show. And we will continue the discussion of LSU football as that has piqued a lot of people's interest. We'll take your questions. We'll take your thoughts. If you want to, get inside the bunker and we'll talk some LSU football stuff. So if you've got a question, if you got a personnel question or somebody that you want to discuss specifically, jump inside of the bunker and we will talk about that. Remember, daily we are brought to you by Nevadis. Over at Nevadis, they are custom making websites. They're custom making mobile apps for your business, and they want to take care of taking the headaches out of business offerings for you. They can help you out with digitizing your paperwork, with consolidating a lot of your files into a digital element. Find out how they can help you today at Novatus.com. That is Novateus, Novatus.com, where they can help you with end-to-end software development services like web app development, mobile app development, all of that. You can find out all of the information right there at Novatus.com. Randall Nachman and his crew, great staff over there. We'll continue the Jordy Culotta Show when we come back here, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy@JordyCulottashow.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy@JordyCulottashow.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Who knew that Katie was such a weirdo? She sleeps in socks.
Oh, wait,
She actually
whoa,
does?
wait.
I mean, she just tweeted out a picture.
Wait, are they ankle socks?
Ankles.
I was going to say, if they're like,
Yeah.
Pull-up tights?
pull-up tights, then that'd be cool.
Well, no, bro. She's sleeping like golf socks.
Oh, never mind.
Didn't
know if she was always on alert, dude.
Yeah, no. She's a serial killer.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was just saying, I think it's a girl thing. I think most girls sleep in socks. And, the bunker's probably not the best place to ask. I don't think we have a lot of girls in there, but if you have a wife or a
Harry
girlfriend.
Ballsack, I'm pretty sure that's a chick.
I mean, Jennifer Prang just popped up inside of the bunker. There's a lot of people sitting out there that may not be talking.
I sleep
Speak up out
Lurking.
there.
Lurking. I guess we'll make a poll. Do you sleep in socks?
Next time you get a live guest, you got to pull Shannon Sharp, like with Julio Jones.
I mean, we essentially do that. But hey, you're live, bro. At least you tell him.
I mean, I didn't think he knew he was on television. I didn't think he knew. I mean, I know that there's the argument of if your boys, and this is going to Shannon Sharp yesterday, who was on Fox Sports. He called Julio Jones live on national television.
Took our bit.
He did. And asked him directly if he was leaving Atlanta, and he said he was out of there.
Hell no, dude.
And I mean, I didn't think he knew he was on television. I really did.
Imagine being Julio's agent.
I would say, yeah, that would be a nightmare probably if he didn't know. But the way he answered it so cavalier and like his tenor on the phone sounded like he didn't know he was on TV.
I agree.
Because people kind of perk up and talk differently when they're on TV. You know, he sounded very relaxed and like, no, dude, I ain't going back there. Like,
Maybe he's so fed up. Maybe he's just. So
and then he took a shot at the Cowboys for no reason. Like
did.
that's like a
kick him when they're down.
yeah. So like that's not something he would probably say if he knew he was live. But I mean, it made for good TV.
It was. I didn't think he knew he was on television.
And that's absolutely uncouth, right?
What does he care?
As a man in the media,
100%.
28-3 lead. Screw him.
but is it a little bit on Julio for like, dude? I know Shannon Sharp is
Yes.
like, if you're boys, you know that he's on air right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you are boys, you don't expect him to be on national television talking about that with you on the phone.
Yeah, but you know what time he's on air.
it's like-
I do, but I mean, I would expect you to call me during a commercial break if you're going to ask me something like that.
Oh yeah, I want to
know
go
what
to
I
air
mean?
with this in like 3
Yeah,
minutes.
like, hey
yeah.
man, we're talking about this. Are you leaving? Yeah, I'm leaving. Can I say that on the air? Or you know, what I mean, even can like, hey, I was able to speak to Julio in the break.
That was wild.
You know what I mean? But I mean, having Julio say that like out loud was pretty wild. It was wild.
Dude, I'm at the point with like how the NFL and like the players and agents and front office negotiate that I don't believe anything. Like I would think that maybe Shannon and Julio like orchestrated that pre-show and like he was like, dude, let's get this out there that I want to go. You know, because there's a bunch of smoke screens out there that I just don't know anything anymore. Like
What
I
do
don't
we
believe
know?
what comes through the media. Schefter with his like off the cuff approach toward Rodgers, like, what are your sources? Like, I don't have any sources. Like, you can't just say that then, and then it makes you wonder. Did Rodgers leak it to him to say, hey, you don't know anything? Who are you covering up for? It's all very interesting. It's all like I don't know what to believe.
Woj has been called out before for a bad
No,
take.
Woj I won't go after.
He's just too accurate.
Yeah, he's too good.
He is.
Cuban went after him once.
Oh, that means he got to.
Yeah, it
him.
means he got him. And he didn't hear it from Mark Cuban. He's
That's
like, who do you
right.
know?
Cuban
Who'd you
figured out
talk
his phone
to?
was tapped.
And what, yeah, he didn't do it on Cyberdust.
Cuban had news broken to him by Woj about his own team, and he was probably thinking, "F that guy."
Yeah, that's why he invented the Cyberdust app. Like, my texts are deleted right after they're sent.
Let's see.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, I
Cyberdust?
think it kind of faded away. It was like the original Snapchat, but for text messages.
You know, Tinder just added a feature like that. I saw an article.
No, I
where-
don't know that.
Oh yeah. Sorry, boy.
I don't either,
It's
Jack.
a loving relationship, but they have a feature if you're a guy before you say something stupid. Like, are you sure you want to send that? They added that.
Dude, they probably should put like a time feature on there.
Yes.
Like it's after 1:30 in the morning.
just
Like,
to prevent drunk wild messages.
dude, bro, it's not as big as you think it is. Delete that.
Harry Balls back into the bunker asks, "What do you think the biggest swing games are for LSU this year to have non-successful or successful this year's?" His would be UCLA, Ole Miss.
Well, the
Mississippi
first
State,
game of the
Kansas.
year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously UCLA, but I think that Florida makes sense because it's out of league play. It's out of the Western Division. It's out of division play in conference play. So, Florida, for as much
Kentucky.
as we go back and forth on that game, they better beat Kentucky this season. I'm just saying. I mean, for where LSU is, you want to talk about start losing ground in the SEC, and
That
I
would be a
understand.
brutal blow.
I understand what Stoops has done to Kentucky, and he has recruited well. But come on,
They're gonna be good.
they are going to be good. But there, you talk about comparable roster side by side. LSU is a 10-point favorite, 7-point, a touchdown favorite in that game.
Do you think UCLA is a must-win?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
no, it's not a must-win.
You can't start the season off.
After that,
Are
to
you,
that.
dude? You can't start the season off 0-1 after going 5-5. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to. You have to almost rout them. It has to be like.
We got our swagger back.
Yeah, 42-10. Punch them right in the in the mouth and be like, LSU football is back.
Ideally,
you can't.
Ideally,
you
you're
can't
right.
lose the first game.
Even if it's a dogfight,
this
I'm
place
nervous.
would explode.
You can't for what we're talking about, for like the city of Baton Rouge and the people in the fan base. But as far as the overall trajectory of the season, it is not a wheels fall off type game. I mean,
Buddy, that's a strong headwind you're trying to drive into if you lose. If
Tiger
you go
droppings
0
would
and
be
1,
a
dude. I'm
dumpster
telling you.
fire.
it would absolutely be a dump. Tiger droppings is a dumpster fire today.
Hey, we
Right
can't talk-
now.
Right now.
Hush, hush.
But as far as, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, to wash the taste out of your mouth, you want to go over to Los Angeles to the Rose Bowl and kick UCLA's teeth in. But if you don't, you can recover and still make a run on the season. If you take it, I mean, it'll be a long week. You know what I mean? It'll be a long week, opening week in September, and it'll be a lot of noise that you're going to have to weather through, but none more noisy than they have navigated before. I mean, it was, Troy, it was Mississippi
Missouri.
State, Missouri, all that stuff. I mean, you go over to UCLA and you lose by 3 at the end of the
What's
game.
the score?
30-27. You lose at the gun. They kick a field goal. And, UCLA and Chip Kelly, it's his best roster too. When you look at side by side, I mean, I understand that LSU has the better team, but, I mean, they've been in his system. I'm not making excuses for LSU to lose the game. I'm just saying if they do lose the game, that the season is still recoverable. If they lose against Alabama, if they lose against Ole Miss, if they lose against Mississippi State, like some of the scenarios that Ballsack laid out for us,
every time.
you know what I mean? That's dire. If you lose an SEC Western Division game, that takes a big impact on whether or not you can get to Atlanta. And for what we're talking about and what LSU wants to accomplish goes through Atlanta. They need to get to the SEC title game to accomplish the things that we are discussing or, believe that they can do. I think that LSU is a championship level roster, championship level team. I really do. I think you look around and there's not a lot of difference between the rosters of Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. They may have 1 or 2 more dudes in certain spots.
Same recruiting
but
classes.
it's all the same guys that have chosen their spots, and these are the 4 or 5 schools, Georgia, that they are mainly at. And LSU is in that mix. And, if you're telling me that you got to pick out games on this schedule that they
losable.
have to win, UCLA's not one of them.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just for the state of the program.
It's the taste of the mouth.
Yeah,
and
dude,
I get what
it
you're
just-
saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're
You
saying.
can't.
I understand what you're saying. But what game would you substitute for UCLA?
Ole Miss.
I mean,
Mississippi State.
Yeah, but bro, what if you lose to Ole Miss? You have a loss in the Western
That's
Division.
true. I know. It's just that first game.
But I don't think
We got new hires. We're trying to change everything.
I think if we lose to UCLA, we're not going to win the West regardless. I think that. I mean,
think
I've
it's
seen
recoverable.
it's recoverable, but I'm just
So I
talking
gotta go
about.
to Bama.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just kind of LSU needs that win more than they need anything. I think just to be able to put a stamp on look, whatever happened last year was not who we are.
I
I
understand that.
It has to be an absolute
understand
statement game. Come
that
out with an
you want-
onside kick.
You want to whitewash the taste out of your mouth, and you want to whitewash the taste out of the fan base and just the feeling of 2020. It sucked. I mean, it was terrible. It was low points for everything.
I mean, the highest point of the
I
season
get
was
it.
somebody threw a shoe.
Oh, God.
You couldn't even go out and drink after to ease the pain. You just had to sit there and take it.
Yeah, I mean, it was monumental bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was epic.
That's
bad.
what I'm
Worth it.
saying. We're trying to recover from something that was so bad.
I hear and Lloyd, and I hear you.
Oh,
but
got a
at the-
Lloyd.
But at the end of the season, I want to have a chance to play for a championship. And if you're giving me must-win scenarios in May about LSU's fall schedule, I'm telling you that the trip to UCLA in the Rose Bowl would be awesome to go win. But if they don't, they can recover from it.
But even if if we trade out a UCLA loss for a win against the rest of the SEC West, we still will probably lose to Alabama. I would imagine.
Man,
You know,
you still
just
gotta beat
just to
A&M,
be a
dude.
little realistic, and then you're still not going to an SEC championship. I think the win against UCLA is important just to right the ship, just to get the fan base back on board. Because, like you said, dude, Baton Rouge has a bad taste in its mouth about what happened at LSU football. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. People were kind of about it, like it felt kind of gross to watch.
There is a feeling right now around LSU football
Or it's teetering.
It's or a little bit of just.
Where are we?
Not that where are you? But some people are just kind of checked out on it. Some people are not as interested as they have been in the past. Now, you come out and you beat the hell out of UCLA and they're back.
So I'm saying, if you come out and lose, dude, it goes monumental. But yeah, if you come out and win,
There's no middle ground.
No, there's no middle ground. Hey, let me take this call. This is Pete Bush calling in, and let's see if we can't get a couple of minutes with Bush. We'll be right back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Good conversation on LSU football coming up in the fall.
Sweating over here, got fired up.
Yes, that's good, man.
Blood pressure high.
Good survive, man.
We will talk to Shea Dixon coming up tomorrow as he will be in studio with us. We will be talking about some of the impact guys
I don't trust him at
that
all.
have moved
I
in
think he
over
was
the
trying to redo
weekend.
the drip. That's why he didn't come in. It's like,
Possibly.
I don't
Dude,
know
he's
what to wear
probably
today.
wearing long socks, and he said, "You know what? I got to change. I can't make it today."
But he's on the schedule for tomorrow. We'll see if it holds up. Last night, excellent programming and TV watching on Hold the Rope, SEC Network, centered around Skip Bertman. We talked all about it the first hour. Big Ben McDonald was here to lead us off. He spent about 20 minutes reminiscing on the old days of the box and what it meant to be a part of LSU baseball during that time. Pete Bush, who is recognized as one of the early faces of the Skip Bertman regime in Baton Rouge, is now so influential throughout Baton Rouge. You know him as he is the CEO of Horizon Financial Group. He is active in all types of things throughout our city, whether it's the YMCA, the LSU Alumni Foundation. He's big over with the Baton Rouge General Foundation, the Rotary Club, Rick Green's foundation with Two Seam Dream. He's all over the place, but he was also all over Hold the Rope last night. And he joins us now in between meetings. I know it's a very busy morning, so we appreciate just a couple of minutes that we can squeeze out of Pete Bush this morning. Pete, thanks for the time. Good morning, man.
Man, good morning to you guys.
Last night I thought was stellar television. Somebody that is very biased, obviously, who grew up watching LSU baseball and is really the backdrop of my childhood and so many of my generation. You were a character and a part of that, man. What was last night like for you?
Yeah, well, what a blessing to be a character in that story. What was interesting about it is being able to watch it with my grown children now. And have them experience that and see, like, Dad, now I know where you got all these things that you say to us all the time. Like,
if it is to be, it's up to me, or anything you vividly imagine. All those things that got ingrained in me. I mean, again, as a huge blessing as an 18 to 21-year-old, that every player will tell you, they've passed on to their children. Just the ripple effect that this man has had in the sport and in the lives of the people that he touched has been incredible. And I think they did a good job of capturing that in the SEC story film.
What's your favorite saying that you got from Skip?
Well, if it is to be, is up to me. Every year, as a entrepreneur and CEO now, I have a little black journal that I take all my notes in and write down goals and things like that. And as soon as I flip it open, the very first thing I write in it is, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that's sort of become my code of personal responsibility. Skip was always about, don't wait for your teammate to get the hit. It's up to you. He was big on everything matters. So, if he would see a blade of grass growing up between the seams of the turf and the batting cage, that mattered to him, because that was somewhat showing, that if you let the grass grow, then you're not being excellent, right? You heard the story Jim Wells laughed about, and going into the stands and making sure the hot chocolate was hot, and you were trying to, and Jim laughed and he says, "Are you kidding me?"
I love that. I loved it.
No, man, go up there.
But it's that mindset of everything matters, and that if it is to be, it's up to me. If I see a blade of grass, I pull the grass. I'm the guy that when we're walking around at the house, and again, I've taught my kids this. They don't always listen, but I have tried to teach them. Hey, there's a piece of trash on the ground. Pick it up and throw it in the garbage. If it is to be, it's up to me. So little bitty things like that. I would say of all the lessons, that's probably the one that has been the most meaningful.
You are a Baton Rouge native, went to Bel Air High School, and came into LSU baseball at a time where it wasn't yet established, but I guess you could probably feel the momentum. Take me back to your recruitment and to what Skip was like back then, before LSU baseball was the monster it is today.
Yeah, when I was in high school, he showed up here in the fall of my junior year of high school, 1983. And I had a really good junior season in the spring of '84, which was his first season here. And, Skip started sending, little notes. He'd clip out the, article of me in the paper, him or Spoke or whoever was doing some of the recruiting. And, they started communicating with me right away. But in my mind, I was thinking, I'm not going to LSU to play baseball. I'm going to go somewhere else that has actually a nice program. And in the 2 years between my junior and senior year, of course, we saw the immediate impact that Skip was making. And, I'm not going to even pretend to be like I was this big recruit. I was just a good local player that, could get some things done. But then the option came open to, hey, maybe I could do that here. This program looks like it's on the move and on the rise. The thing that got me was when they were on TV. I was like, my senior year, they played on TV against Will Clark and Thunder and Lightning and all that. And I just remember thinking, like, well, that'd be cool to be in my hometown and maybe be on TV and play some games. And, man, my parents could watch me play. They'd come to the games. And so I started thinking about that. And then, by the time I got into my senior year, I was sort of like, well, man, if they'll have me, I'm coming here. I'm not even going to think about anything else. So and then of course, the transition out into the community and what Skip taught me about speaking at different, Rotary clubs and different groups and coaching Little League baseball and everything. I just kind of stuck with that system and stayed in the community. So it's been an awesome journey for sure. And I give that guy much, much, much of the credit.
How quickly did you realize that Skip was different than the other head coaches you were talking to during recruitment?
Well, there was an intensity there. Just in his eyes, the way he talked about Omaha, a place that I didn't even know existed until he started talking about it. Like, honestly, I wasn't one of those guys. I don't even know if I had, cable at the time to watch ESPN. Honest to God, I don't remember hearing about Omaha or thinking about it or anything. And that sounds a little naive, but I get to LSU or get into the recruiting thing, and he starts telling me about playing in Omaha and winning and what the grass smells like. And it doesn't, it's like the emotional side of that, the visuals get you fired up. Right. So So I'm like, huh, Omaha. Oh, it's in Nebraska. Okay. Yeah.
You lost me
good.
for a second.
So good.
Wait. Oh, wait. They've been playing there since the 40s. Okay, it is a thing. All right. But yeah, just growing into that and seeing the intensity in his eyes about how much he believed. And I think that is another big thing I got out of him, which is just believing. I mean, you know, seeing something is one thing. A lot of people have visions in their head, but believing that thing can come true is really a special skill of the mind, and the focus that it takes to turn a vision into an actual real thing is a gift. And he gave me that gift for sure.
Wow. Strong words from a former player and, of course, a great businessman in our community, Pete Bush, with a couple of minutes here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show this morning. How good was Joey Belle, or Albert Belle? Do you call it, what does he go by?
Well, I call him Albert. I mean, Albert, you know, and I stay in touch. I mean, I do text with him often. And I will tell you that he was one of the more fierce competitors that I've ever played with. I always say that Ben McDonald was probably the best teammate and competitor that I ever suited up with, because he just checked all the boxes. But Albert was the best hitter I ever stood next to. He hit third in '87. I was fifth, so I was always in his batting. You know, we were in the same batting group together, and pregame and practice and everything else. So watch that guy take so many cuts, and I've never been around up close like that to somebody that could do that to a baseball. I mean, he was this incredible hard worker, incredible teammate as far as competing and wanting to win. I just think if you watched that show last night, I think you heard Mark Guthrie's comment about him. I think he was so demanding of himself, you know, and he put so much pressure on himself that it came out as like not being a team player, but the truth of it is no one wanted to win more than that guy, and he was just extremely hard on himself. If he punched out or rolled over one, he wanted to beat himself up about it. He felt like he was better than that. So you just think I'll put it in perspective for you. Before he went through all the shenanigans at LSU, there was the draft, the '87 draft, and there were two people that were talking about who's going to be the first pick in the draft. One of them was Ken Griffey Jr. and the other one Albert Belle.
Damn.
So Griffey was the best Griffey was the best high school player at the time. Belle was the best college player at the time, and they were trying to decide who to go, one or two. And then after Joey went through his stuff, you know, he dropped down. You know, his stock dropped down, but he was right there in the talks of being the number one pick in the country. That's how good he was.
What were you thinking when you were running down the line to stop him from going into the outfield in Starkville? What were you thinking you were about to get into?
Man, you know, it's one of those things where you're not thinking. You're just reacting. I turned around and I saw him heading to the corner. I saw the guy. We could all hear the guy. I mean, he was there for a couple of innings, saying things that, you know,
sure,
especially in this day and age, no one would even want to repeat. But, you know, I mean, he was on and on. And I think if there'd have been 100 people up there, Joe would have been able to ignore it. But there was one guy standing up there by himself. It was so clear, like, what was going on and who was doing the damage that he actually, you know, snapped, you know, after a couple of innings of that. And as soon as I turned around and saw what was happening, I just took off running. I mean, I wasn't really thinking at all. I was like, I got to keep him from killing this guy, because Joe Belle, 6'4", you know, about 205 pounds, and you know, with about a 30-inch waist. I mean, he was built like a machine. He was built like the Dick's Sporting Goods mannequin. You know, it's unbelievable. So I knew the guy didn't stand a chance if Joe could get to him, and of course, you know, he was able to be slowed down a little bit.
Did the team kind of expect you to do that? Were you the guy to kind of rein him in? Did you all have that relationship where, like, oh, Pete's got Joey here, or was it just absolutely instinct?
No, I think it was instinct. I don't think he really wanted to get to the guy, because I couldn't have stopped him if he wanted to.
Right.
You know,
right?
I think he was trying to threaten, you know, just basically telling the guy that enough is enough, or I will, you know, snap at some point. I don't think he really wanted to get up there. But again, he was raging. I can promise you that. And as a black ball player being called those names by a white dude sitting up there on a hill, I mean,
with a
2x4.
I mean,
yeah, I can't. None of us can truly put ourselves in those shoes to feel like what that feels like. So, yeah, he did snap, and the guy probably deserved to get the crap beat out of him, but it turned out to be not the day for that. So
he better send you a Christmas card every season. Last one, I'll get you out of here. I know you're very busy. How cool is it to be a part of the LSU baseball alumni fraternity with Skip as kind of the overriding president? It is so cool to see you guys interact in person, and then I thought last night captured that feeling and brought it to life through the camera, and you are probably on the Mount Rushmore of that when people think of his players in the past. What is that like? What is that feeling like?
Well, it's a band of brothers, as they say with the Army movie. It's you've been in the foxhole together. You've been part of something that was excellent, and I think that's what bonds you together is being part of winning, being part of something that you strive for a common vision for, and you actually achieve. I can tell you that when I finished in '89 with Ben. But 2 years later, when they won the first championship in '91, I can guarantee you that every one of us felt like we were in that dog pile. That's how close that brotherhood is. It just was a victory for, all the bricklaying that was done and all the hard work that was put in. It is a fraternity like no other. It's just a very, very special thing to be part of. And as you saw, I bought 2 tables to the event, and I put out the initial, text for people that want to come. It filled up within an hour. I mean, there's just, people feel like, that's more like a family gathering than any big other thing.
I lied. This is the last one. I had Ronnie Rance as the best impersonator, and I have heard through the grapevine that you are a sneaky, great impersonator of Skip. But Paul Bird last night was incredible. Who is the best out of the bunch?
Well, Jordy. Look, everybody's got one. That's pretty good. They're pretty good. But I will tell you that, Birdie did a nice job. He's a nice kid. He did a nice job.
Pete, it's great to hear from you, man. Hold the Rope was better than I thought it was going to be, and I knew it was going to be great. It was great to see you guys remembering.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the time, guys. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you. There was Pete Bush checking in this morning. Pete is one of the greats, and as far as the alumni goes of LSU baseball.
What a great photo to show. Talk about free marketing, man.
Goodness, dude. Lord.
It looks like a president.
Yeah.
I'd vote for that guy.
Dude, wasn't it? It was better than I thought it was going to be. That was so good, and I don't know if we're too close to it, but I feel like if you watched that and you weren't even an LSU fan.
You know why I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be is because I learned about the Miami stuff. First off, if you can give me LSU programming, especially for my youth, and teach me something, I'm bought in, bro. I mean, I thought I knew everything about Skip, but to bring his players back and some of his childhood friends and give me some Skip stories about Miami-Dade County was phenomenal. And then I thought the Joey Belle story was a really cool part of that, which you rarely think about in the annals and history of LSU baseball. That is a forgotten storyline. Not necessarily forgotten, but it doesn't receive as much of attention as it got last night. And I thought that story and hearing Skip's instant, hey, you know what? I wasn't able to break through. And he thinks about that.
As the guy that broke through to everybody.
Right.
And he couldn't get through that. It probably still bothers him. You could tell he's like reached out and hasn't heard anything. And he's like, bro, I didn't know what to do with you, man.
Yeah.
Like, I tried everything. If you're not any good, he'd have kicked you off the team day one.
What would you
like,
give
he
it,
gave him slack.
Scale 1 to 10.
On the documentary?
Mm-hmm.
Very biased, but from an LSU perspective, I think it's a 10. I just think it is so good of the entire story being told and understanding the weight of what Skip Bertman not only means to LSU, but to college baseball is very well represented. I think, bringing in Ray Tanner, the South Carolina, head coach and now athletics director who really kind of followed in the same exact footsteps as Skip, being a successful baseball coach and then a successful administrator.
And Mike Martin from Florida State.
Mike
It's
Martin,
Skip.
yeah.
That's who he
Mike
is.
Martin
Yeah.
Stevenson from Wichita State.
Is that your favorite ESPN film, even out of the 30 for 30?
Probably my best storied, but not 30 for 30.
I think that was the best storied.
Dude, they could probably do a 30 for 30 on Joey Belle now. After
think
seeing
they
that,
could.
I think there's a lot of content there he's just such an enigma. It was bizarre.
And what he turned into, bro.
Yes.
I mean, he was, during that time, I mean, it was like Griffey, Frank Thomas, Albert Bell. I mean, those guys were hitting 50 home runs. You know what I mean? Back in a time where the home run was a celebrated accomplishment in sports. I mean, before, this is before Bonds, this is before Sosa, but just right there before. This is like 97, 98 with those guys.
Well, and I thought a great thing that they touched on that probably it won't like a lot of people won't make the connection, but I just kind of did because I was watching intently, I guess. The way that Skip transitioned to gorilla ball and really embraced, and that's what baseball is doing now. He was 100% ahead of the curve. Yeah. And then to have Nick Saban on there, who's done the same thing in terms of, like, I'm embracing all of the new things and what football is and changing my style. Because Skip was 100% a pitcher's coach, wanted to keep it low scoring. Like Nick Saban was very defensively minded. So that's how you kind of get to where they are, is to embrace change and to learn, like, dude, this is where sports are going. And to be on the forefront of it was very impressive.
Good show today. Thanks to everybody. Big Ben McDonald for stopping in hour number 1. Hunt Palmer was in the UDL. We talked to Pete Bush. Good football discussion today. So if you missed today's show, go back and check it out. We always appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments, all the interaction. Make sure and tell a friend about what we have going on between 7 and 9 a.m. here at the Jordy Culotta Show.
Twitter poll's up for the Sox.
Gotta be rolling, huh? No socks?
No socks, and I don't know if
Oh, you
it's
did the poll?
No, Katie did the poll.
Nice.
I don't know if she did
Nice,
socks
nice.
in bed or high socks, or I don't know which one she did.
She may have worded it to fit her narrative.
Oh,
I think she did.
I think so too. All right, thank you to everybody
Socks
for being
in bed
out there.
feels- dude,
So
it
weird,
gives me
bro.
the
Killer,
heebies.
serial
dude.
killer. Get
People
out
don't wear
there.
gloves to bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wear like a mask.
Anything.
All right, thanks to everybody for out there for being with us today. We're back with you tomorrow at 7 a.m. As we said, Shea Dixon is on the docket. We'll see if that comes through, my guy.
What percentage chance are you giving him?
40.
It's got to look fresh.
40?
Yeah, 40. Enjoy your Tuesday, bright, shiny Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Go Chevrolet.